And we are live. Episode number 7. Risk It for the Biscuit podcast. Welcome, everybody. It is Monday, March 6th, I believe. We're here for another week, another episode. It feels so good to say episode number 7. We've been sticking through with this thing now, man, and it's exciting. Of course, still not promoting anything, still not posting anything actively, but we're working behind the scenes. There's a lot of stuff happening to make improvements and just to get better. So working on changing some things with the setup, um, with the formatting and everything. And I'm just excited because although it may not seem like a lot or anything crazy, but the things that I set out to accomplish and see progress in are slowly happening. And so I'm excited for that. A lot of things to talk about this week and for next week as well. So I'll be in Singapore actually this week. I'm leaving on Thursday. We're going. It's like a school trip, spring break trip or whatever. I've never been to that part of the world, and whenever the opportunity came up, I figured I don't know when is the next time I'll get an opportunity like that, and so decided to go ahead and go. I'm excited. I've only heard good things. Everybody I tell, I'm like, hey, just mention I'm going to Singapore. I'll be gone. Blah blah blah. I've only been hearing good things, and people uh, have been excited for me as well. So that's going to be cool. I can't wait to share everything that what Singapore is like, what we did over there, and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be awesome. The episode for next Monday, I am planning on having an episode and just continuing this theme or whatever of just being consistent. It's going to be pre-recorded on Wednesday, so it's not going to probably have like current events and whatnot, but we'll have an episode recorded and it'll be scheduled to upload Monday per usual. And then of course come back and we'll film another one. But I'm excited. Um, Episode 10, be on the lookout for that one. I'm hopefully gonna have at that point co-host, let's go, and potentially producer. So we'll see. Just working on improvements. With that being said, um, I guess let's jump into today. I had just some things. I don't know how long today's gonna be, um, but wanted to mention and just talk about like kind of continuation of Singapore because it's school. Man, I got I think a little under 8 weeks of school left for my entire life. Like that's crazy. Graduating, um, bachelor's degree, and I'm excited, man. It's like such a weird feeling. I don't know if I felt the same way when I graduated high school, but it's like obviously excited. Um, but it's like kind of uncertain. I've never not been a student, so I don't know what to expect. I'm not in any way trying to say that I'm trying to stay or continue my schooling. That's definitely not the case whatsoever. I'm actually very excited to be done and finished with it and you know living life. I actually got a job already lined up, so I'm excited for that as well. I think it'll be interesting to enter the job market in the real world probably at one of the worst times, or at least that's like the projections or whatever. And so that should be exciting, very exciting to do that. Um, yeah, so should be cool, should be fun. And these headphones are starting to piss me off. Um, Man, hello, hello, check two. Come on, man. This happened on another episode and it just completely throws me off. we definitely got to improve that while we're improving everything else. Um, anyway, anyway. So finishing up school, um, and like it's like anytime in my life when things get close to an end, I just get this weird, like almost like apathetic feeling where I kind of don't want to do anything, and uh, I get a little bit anxious as well. So it's kind of just like I'm in such a weird state personally, I guess. Um, but uh, but it's all good, man. I think you know in times like this is like when you can really like solidify and focus and all the things that you planned and prepared in terms of like your mindset. You get to really uh, put into practice in times where it's not always easy and where things are a little bit uncertain. And we'll see, man. One thing um, that kind of, I guess, makes me nervous is, what if there's nothing that I find interesting? Not that I found school interesting, but it's like if you think about it, right, the natural process is, you go to school and get an education, whatever, then real life starts. You got to work, you got to do something, and what if there's just nothing that I find interesting to do long term? Um, of course, I'm very good at overthinking, so that's definitely what that is. But um, we will see, man. We have ministry, and we also have work that we're gonna do, and you know, I trust God. Everything's gonna work out. It's just like in the moment, like when you're in that in between, it's kind of really, really strange. And I found that like this isn't the first time I'm going through it. um, but I'm so excited to be done. I think being done with school is gonna allow me more opportunity to work on the podcast itself and just to get better at that. And I feel like when you finish school, that's like when real life starts. And for the past couple years, I mean, pretty much my whole college years, once I kind of figured out a little bit more what direction I want to move in, I've been excited to kind of finish up and start working and you know doing some sort of business and ministry as well. So I am excited for that. Um, One thing I've been reading this book, The Essential Wooden. If you don't know who John Wooden is, he's one of the most winningest basketball coaches um, ever, and he coached at UCLA. I believe it was like in the 1960s, 70s, um, something crazy, crazy. He won like I think 10 championships in 12 years, and of course, growing up playing basketball, uh, you know, was aware of him. But I found this book and about leadership and stuff like that, and that's obviously a topic that's interests me. Um, just in every area of my life so far. It's leadership and being a better leader is something that's interested me. And so one of the things that has been sticking with me from this book, whenever I read books, I used to be like this where, I would try to highlight stuff and underline stuff and get every little bit from the book. But, most of those things don't stick with you anyway. Um, so I just try to read through books as fast as I can and just kind of see what's the main thing here. Um, and one of the interesting things about Wooden, he says all his teams that he coached, he never mentioned things like winning. He never mentioned the other opponent. That was like not his philosophy. His philosophy for winning was instead to focus internally on his team and to put an emphasis on them doing their best. I think that's so interesting, man. You would think that a coach who wins 10 championships in 12 years focuses on winning. He focuses on beating the opponent. Um, but John Wooden kind of does the complete opposite. And in this whole book, a very interesting book. It's kind of an easy read. It's not like a typical book. It has a little bit of a layout. um, which makes it, I feel like, easier. But he talks about um, just that to focus on doing your best, and then the results will take care of itself. Um, that's been such a for like the past couple weeks. It's been such a cool thing to think about. Um, how I just mentioning about finishing up school and stuff like that, and kind of not knowing what to do next. But I feel like that's a good reminder, and in every aspect of life, I think it's a good approach. Sometimes as human beings, I think we're all result driven, right? For the most part, people say, "Oh no, I love the process." Of course, you love the process, but I imagine you also would like to achieve the result. Otherwise, you wouldn't be working on the process, whatever that is, whether we're chasing success, um, you know, whether we want to get more money, whether we want to grow a business or a ministry or whatever we want to build and grow. I think we're oftentimes, we have a goal. Of course, we need to have a goal. Um, but I think once we put our focus on doing our best and being our best, that's like the right way to approach things. Um, because you can achieve goals. People achieve goals and they're not their best. You can cheat your way to things. Um, People do that all the time, take shortcuts or whatever, and maybe they do achieve goals. Um, but I think like one thing I've always like kind of thought about or looked at is like I don't want to just achieve goals. I'm not just interested in hitting milestones or achievements. But when you look at successful people, right, you look at successful entrepreneurs, entertainers, authors, stuff like that. The person that achieves a very high goal or status or benchmark, or like in business, for example, that person is a certain level of person, if that makes sense, if you get what I'm saying. That person is a certain level of individual. They have a certain mindset. They have a certain level of there's there's just a different level of a person, And I've always thought about that's the level of person. Um, I think that's more interesting and more attractive to obtain and achieve than just to achieve the goal itself. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like when you think about a great actor or a great business person, like an Elon Musk, um, you can just name them, right? Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. You can think about just Joe Rogan, right? All these guys that are successful in the way that they have been, or even athletes. I love thinking about athletes like who perform at high levels. Um, they are a certain level of individual that normal people are not, and that's what put them in that position to be successful. Well, of course, other things aligned as well. Um, but I think once you begin to focus on, okay, my process, my um my way of doing things, doing my best, and really fine tuning it, and then the results take care of itself. I've been working on kind of getting myself back into a rhythm. I find myself in different times of life where you're more motivated or you're more organized, and I like myself more that way. When I'm sticking to a schedule, when I'm on time, like when I'm you know doing the things that I said I was going to do, and completing tasks. I feel like that's me being at my best. Putting together a calendar, writing things down, crossing things off, like that's when I really am like in a groove, and you have momentum, and you're just accomplishing things and moving like strategically. I remember listening to a podcast. I think it was Andy Priscilla. He's the guy that did the 75 hard. That's just what I remember him from. But he was talking about momentum and how important it is to get momentum and to, once you get it, to keep it. I was talking with my friends. I think last week we're talking about this as well, momentum and kind of getting in a groove. And it's like, man, it's the hardest thing to get, and it's the hardest thing to keep. Um, like a momentum where you're just kind of firing on all cylinders. You're mentally clicking, everything's clicking mentally, and you're physically accomplishing things, and you kind of get in this little groove. It starts off with small tasks. um I mean, I'm just thinking for myself, but like, waking up one alarm clock, like that's a big deal. um you know being efficient in the morning, that's a big deal. Getting things done, boom boom boom, being on time, being on schedule. And once you get that going, but what we were talking about is that it's so difficult to get that. And if you think back, like I think back on, there are times in my life where I am very very um routine oriented and routine based, and I'm like a robot. um but it's hard to get there and it's hard to keep. And what Priscilla was saying, or Frisilla, I don't know, whatever his name is. n- um but he said, he talked to like high level athletes. I think he mentioned Joe Montana. But anyway, he was talking to like high level athletes. What's the secret to success? They said you got to get momentum. You have to gain momentum, and then once you get it, you got to do everything you can to keep it. You got to get it in a momentum. Um, you know, I think in your fitness, in your work, gain a momentum. It's like if every week you're climbing uphill, it's going to be very, very hard to make any progress. You got to start small, build little routines, accomplish and complete little tasks, and let that build on top of it. And one thing that really stuck out from Priscilla or Fresilla, whatever, I should probably look up his name. Um, but he said whenever he gains momentum, because of course, not everything is just perfect. You gain it, you lose it, whatever. Um, but the goal is to keep it. But he says once he gains momentum and he feels himself gaining momentum, he will literally go to any end imaginable to keep it. Like he's like, I canceled trips, I postponed things because he's like, right now I'm in a groove, and I gotta um I gotta do everything I can to protect this momentum because right now I'm in a groove. I might not be in this groove a week from now, a month from now. And that's actually one of my that's been one of my strategies to be successful in school throughout these past couple years. And it dated back a little bit to high school, but I didn't really realize what it was, or what I was doing at the time. But as I've gotten to college, I've really tried to use this, I guess, technique of being in a groove, of this momentum. It's so helpful, I feel like, because basically, you know, and you probably relate if you've been in school, but in the beginning of the semester, you're more or less like you're more motivated than you are at the end, right? You're excited. There's like that feeling of newness, right? You get to class, you got a new syllabus, new professor, and you are a little bit excited. I mean, most of you is dreading it, but there's a part of you that's excited. And so in those moments when you are excited, man, you gotta go. Like you have to work, and it's like a trick, right? Because I mean, you don't want to do these assignments, but you tell yourself, hey, right now I'm willing to do it. Like I'm willing to not procrastinate. I'm willing to run through these assignments, however many assignments I got. Like I'm in a place where I'm just, I'm willing and I'm able to accomplish them and complete them. So in those moments you got to do everything you can to get as much done as you can. Um because later in the semester, it's not going to be like that. At least for me. like the desire to do it and like just to complete it. So whenever I get in a groove, you know, I find this especially with writing, right? Whenever you start writing, you might not have a lot to write, but as you start writing, things start clicking. So boy, you better sit down, you better write as much as you can, um, you know, just to get it out the way, because later it's not going to feel like that, and it's just going to be an uphill battle to finish it. And I just thought about, I have like this little technique, which is which is a little bit weird, um, and maybe this won't help you, but what I do is I whenever I have an assignment, like a PowerPoint, I have to do a presentation or a word, like an essay or something. What I do is um, I try to break it down into little tasks. So if it's due in 3 weeks, 3 weeks out, I'll go ahead and just create the Word document. I'll create the Word document and title it. I won't start working on it, but I'll do that. And what it does is like it mentally is like, oh, like I'm making progress, you know? Obviously, making the Word document and titling it is not any progress really. But in your mind, you kind of trick yourself. And it's a little win, it's a little task that you completed. You start building on that, man, and that's how you gain momentum. And I don't know, whatever you're doing in life, man, I feel like you got to get in that groove, um, because it makes everything. It's not easier, You're still doing difficult things. You're still doing stuff you don't want to do. But when you get into a momentum, in a routine, man, it just makes it easier. And you know, I think you get in that momentum. Just going back to the book and to Wooden's philosophy, you get into that momentum by focusing on doing your best, not worrying about the end goal, not worrying about how you're gonna get there. You just gotta worry um, about doing your best, about doing what you're doing right now, and that's what you gotta do, man. That's what you gotta do. That's 100% what you gotta do. Pretty good book. I would recommend it. Um, if you're in any type of leadership, if leader at work or at school or in your church and your ministry. Um, Good book about leadership. It was interesting. I saw a clip from Patrick Bet David. It was like from a seminar or something. He was talking about people like CEOs, right? People, he said, they don't know every part of the business, but pretty much every CEO, all they're tasked with, their main task is just to grow leaders. you know, like if you're in a position of leadership, you're only the major task is just to grow leaders, grow people that are able to lead. And it's very interesting. In my life, I don't feel like I've done that really. So that's like one thing I really want to work at and work in and see myself improve um, in that area for sure. Um, Another thing from this book, another pointer, I guess, he was talking about how he treated his players and stuff like that. He was very honest with them. He pushed them. He he I think it was like he had an interesting way of like, I guess, being hard on them but also complimenting them. It was like and about that, it was like, obviously depending per player, but he would man, what was it? It was like criticize in private, I think, and compliment in public or something like that. But all the players, they have like testimonials from players in the book, and they all mention, um, you know, he pushed them. He wanted them to do their best, and I think that's an important message uh, in 2023 as well. Not only just in terms of like gaining momentum or anything like that, or um, But in 2020, like in today's day and age, it's a lot of just kind of soft people. Um, you know, feels like that's not a message that's out there, right? To do your best to push those around you, to hold those around you accountable. Like whatever team you're in, it seems like that's not a popular message. It's just kind of like do what you feel, and I don't know. I don't know. I think we got to get back to to encouraging people to do their best. Why would you want to do anything less than your best? Um, I think that's important. I think that's important. I think you gain satisfaction from knowing that you're doing your best, um, and that encourages you to keep going, keep pushing, keep getting better, and make a difference. I think that's got to be more of the message, not not all this negative stuff and whatnot. Um, but yeah, man, do your best. Do your best. And I don't know. I know that's such a simple um, that's such a simple thing, and that's such a simple, I mean, philosophy. But that's what like what's been like so interesting to me. Um, I mean, 10 championships in 12 years. I think I mean, obviously you can look this up, but I know they went on a wild stretch, like 6, 7, or 8 straight, something like that. And so when you hear about that from the outside, it's like, oh wow, he was probably the most competitive, like how do you maintain that? And in his book, he's just like, yeah, I just told them to do their best. Like that's what I expected. He's like, I didn't expect them to win every game. I expected them to do their best. And that led to 10 championships in 12 years. And it's so simple, but I think it's so also profound and so interesting to kind of keep in mind. Whatever you're doing, school, business, work, man, just do your best. Focus on that. Cool, cool. Um, what else? What else are we talking about today? I don't know, man. I don't have much else, honestly. Of course, it feels like you can talk about news, right? Um, Whatever's going on. The world's crazy, crazy. I just saw an interesting article from last week on Wall Street Journal about Chili's. We used to eat at Chili's all the time, but they got a new CEO. Like 2 years ago, I think they got a new CEO. He helped KFC and some other restaurant. Um, but basically, Chili's is saving a bunch of money on like their fries. uh, they basically the way they were serving their fries, it was on these metal plates, I think, and it wasted like I think it was like 40 million times. That's how many fries they would serve, like in a year, I think. Man, I should have pulled up the article. But anyway, and the CEO was like, we cut that out. We cut out these little plates. He's like, yeah, I mean, that's a no brainer. And basically, the whole article is talking about how restaurants and stuff like that, service based industries like that, they're still kind of recovering from COVID and lockdowns and all that. So that was like a strategy, which I just thought was cool. Thought it was interesting. We used to eat at Chili's all the time. That's the only reason I really looked at that. Let's see. Stock futures are up. I think they were down this morning, but okay. Stocks are cool. Let's see about oil. I did not realize, and maybe I'm a knucklehead for this. I'm 20 years old. I should probably know this. The price of oil, if you want to see if gas is going to go up or down, the price of crude oil is the indicator. Did not know that. My professor actually kind of informed us on that. So I thought that's cool. Now I kind of keep track of crude oil on the on the Wall Street Journal. Uh, if it goes down, gas is going to be cheaper. If it goes up, gas is going to be more expensive. Fun fact, I guess. Um, let's see. Oh man. Yeah, more of these derailments. I saw another one in Ohio. I just hope everybody stays safe. If you're listening, hope you stay safe. And it's a wild time we are living in, ladies and gentlemen. A very wild time. Fed's rate moves put manufacturing sector at risk. Interesting. Wild times, ladies and gentlemen. Wild times. Luxury real estate. Okay. All right. Oh yeah, Chris Rock. I didn't watch that special. I like stand-up comedy. That's one thing I like watching, listening to, whatever. And I saw that clip on Twitter from Chris Rock's special. Boy, it went off. That man went off. Crazy. But yeah, man, I think that's it. Just gonna call it a day. I think good episode again. I'm not being. I don't want to be too hard on myself. I understand that obviously to do a podcast you got to improve, got to be better than what it's been. But again, episode 7. If I would have said that a month ago or 2 months ago, 3 months ago, um, that's the focus. And I'm gonna take the stuff I'm learning from say this book, right? The Essential Wooden says, focus on doing your best. Let everything else take care of itself. So we're gonna do that with this podcast as well. We're gonna implement that practically. Practical is powerful. So I hope you do the same. If anyone does watch this podcast with zero promotion, but man, we're gonna get better. Singapore this week, and I'm excited for that. I will see you guys next Monday for the pre-recorded episode. We're going to talk about some things that I've been wanting to talk about. I'm going to explain why I'm a Jets fan. If you see I'm wearing this shirt, if you've known me for a while, every time I tell people I'm a Jets fan, they ask why I'm a Jets fan. So we're going to talk about that. And there's something else I was going to talk about, but I'm going to plan it out. It's going to be a little more structured for the next week's episode. But so yeah, man. Hope you'll have a great week. Hope you focus on doing your best and don't worry about the results as much. And yeah, man, it's been awesome. Episode 7. Next week, episode 8. Have a good week. Bye bye.